Dear graduates, you may have gathered all of your data and you may want to start writing your results section. And this is actually the moment you might actually not really know how to do so. Today's video is about this results section. I'm going to shortly explain you how you can write your results of your thesis, how you can show your results in the best manner, and how you can make sure that all your data is presented in an objective fashion, meaning that you exactly show what has come out of your research. Over the past couple of weeks, you have gathered your data, and it might be that you gathered quantitative data, or maybe qualitative data, or you may have chosen for a mixed method approach, which means that you have both quantitative as well as qualitative data. If you have gathered quantitative data, it means that you have gathered numbers by means of your survey. These numbers, you will extract those out of Qualtrics, probably, which you might have used, and you want to enter those in either Excel or SPSS in order to analyze your data. Furthermore, you deal with a large sample size, which means that you gathered a probability sample, meaning that each participant had an equal probability to be selected for your sample. Why we do this is because we want to create a representative sample in quantitative research. By doing so, this means that we can actually generalize our results to the wider population, and we can say something about the total population that you gathered your research on. So, for example, if you work at a hotel and you have selected a probability sample of the employees of the different departments, and you make sure that your sample is representative, then in the end you can actually say something about all the employees in the hotel. Additionally, you've gathered objective data. You measured certain skills probably. You measured certain constructs, such as customer satisfaction. In order to do so, you may have used objective, closed-ended questions. Participants were able to rate, for example, their satisfaction on a Likert scale, ranging from 1 to 5, from never satisfied to very satisfied. You've gathered this data in order to validate your hypothesis. In the beginning of the research, you have set up a hypothesis, and this hypothesis is basically a testable statement. A statement where you predict what you think will be the relationship or the difference between two different variables. And in the end, you conduct a statistical analysis in order to find out whether your hypothesis is correct or not. On the other hand, on the other side of the coin, we see that we have qualitative data. And qualitative data really deals with opinions and experiences. How do people experience a working environment? What is their opinion of the leadership in the company? In order to do so, you have a smaller sample. You may have conducted 13, 14, 15 interviews. And these interviews are not meant to generalize your results. No, they are meant to explore those experiences and those opinions of the employees. So this means that you deal with more subjective data. The participants were able to give their opinions, and you don't really measure objective constructs, such as with quantitative research. So, you have done so by conducting either interviews, observations, or you may have chosen for a completely different qualitative method. And in the end, you use open-ended questions because you want to elicit as much information as possible from your participants. All right, so in the end, you want to create a description or tell a story of your data. Next up, how are you going to present this in your thesis? The moment you have gathered quantitative data, you want to make sure you give an objective outline of your results. So you basically only have to present the numbers that you got out of your research. There are two things important here. First of all, the presentation. How are you making sure that you incorporate all the relevant numbers and the statistical outcomes in a manner that is easy to read for your reader? What I would recommend is to take a look at some scientific articles online. How do they do this? What kind of tables can you use? What kind of charts can you use? When do you actually use a pie chart? When do you use a bar chart? And when do you use a histogram? What I would here recommend you to do is to go back to year 2. This is where you had all that information. Secondly, it's most important that you're able to interpret the data. And at this moment, it's not about giving your opinion of the data. No, it's about showing us that you understand what came out of the research. So you want to present your descriptives and you want to present the analysis of the hypothesis that you've set up. So, for example, when you conducted a t-test, you have gotten the results for that t-test, and are you able to show us that you know what it exactly means, what you got out of it? Are your results significant or are they not significant? And it's not about interpreting it here in the sense that you link it to the literature. No, here is just about presenting it, that you mention the results are significant or not significant, and what does it mean to your hypothesis. So make sure to remain objective here and that you show your results in tables, in charts, so that the reader can easily go back to your results. The moment you implement a table or a chart, make also sure to refer to the table of the chart or the chart in the text, so that the reader knows what the table is about, and that the reader also knows that you know what actually came out of it. When you have gathered qualitative data, it's more about storytelling. You want to tell the story of your participants. You want to show the reader what you've explored, what the participants said to you. And I mean, after hours of transcribing, you probably have, I don't know how many pages of transcripts. And it's not about presenting all of this data. It's about the story you want to tell. And it's about the story you think it's important for the reader to know. So while you were analyzing your data, you came up with some codes. And these codes help you to make sense of that data. So to really take that helicopter perspective and to see, okay, what are these people actually talking about? What is important for them? So then is the moment to translate this into how to really show this in your results section. So you have to think about, okay, how can I structure my results section? So go back to your conceptual framework, go back to the codings, go back to your research questions, and see what is the most logical way to structure your results. And then you tell their story in an objective way. So this means that you could, for example, say the majority of the participants mentioned that they were very satisfied with their leader. In order to back up such a story, you can sometimes use a quote. And a quote could be from one of the employees that said, "I'm very satisfied about my leader. I remember this one time when I talked to him at the coffee machine and he really asked me how I was doing. And this showed that he was showing true interest to me. ... This could be a quote that you use to back up your story. Keep in mind, you don't want to overload your reader with quotes. So once in a while you can use a quote, but it's more about the story you tell and about the story you have understood by means of conducting your interviews. So really think about how to formulate this. It's not about telling your reader, hey, I have conducted these interviews, the participants said this and this and this. You really want to make sure you tell it from the reader's perspective, the interviewee's perspective. So as I said, the majority of the participants said, however, one of the participants disagreed. So also try to see where the participants agreed with each other, or maybe someone said something different. And this is what you've done throughout your analysis. You need to make sure that you understand the story of the people and that you can actually tell that story in your results section. All right. The main point in your results is to remain objective. So it's not about giving your opinion there. It's not about linking it to the literature. It's about telling the story of your participants in a qualitative way or showing objective results, hard numbers, facts and figures when you use quantitative data. Good luck, and next week we will continue to the discussion section.